Hi, okay, so we're here with the Algebra 2 Trigonometry June 2011 Regents, and we're just going to go through it, the entire multiple choice and short answers. So first question, a doctor wants to test the effectiveness of a new drug. She separates her sample patients into two groups. She administers the drug to only one of these groups and then compares the results. What kind of situation is it? She is doing an experiment. It's not an observation. She's not just observing. She's not giving a survey. And she's not doing a census. So, controlled experiment. Number two, this is function notation. Just plug -10 in everywhere you see an x and get your answer. Number three is actually pretty difficult. Auditorium has 21 rows of seats. The first row has 18 seats, and each succeeding row has 2 more seats than the previous. How many seats are there? So first thing I did was I tried to figure out, well, how many seats there were in each row. And you can see me just listing them out. And then I used the formula from your reference table. All right, so you just go into your reference table. This is an arithmetic sequence, okay? So I want this one, the sum of a finite arithmetic sequence. I want 21 rows, the 21st term, and then I add the first and the last divided by 2. So that's what I did. I just plugged in. Oh, sorry about that. Expressed as a function of a positive acute angle, this is equal to, just plug into your calculator, honestly. That's the easiest way to do it. The value of this equation, the problem is that the bases are not the same, okay? So make them equivalent bases. 4 is just 2 squared, 8 is 2 cubed. Distribute this down, set the exponents equal to each other and solve, too. Or you literally actually, an easy road is this is just a plug and chug problem. You could have taken these numbers and entered them in right there until you found one that worked. Logarithmic, convert this back to exponential form. So 5 to the 4th power is x. Boom, there's your answer. This is convert this radical into exponential form. This is a rational exponent. So the 4th power, or the 4th root is just raised to the 1/4 power. Distribute this in. You get that, and 16 to the 1/4 is 2, and there's your answer. All right, 8, just plug into your calculator, honestly. Number 9, what's the 15th term? Well, once again, I was writing it out to see how many times, what was going on here. In order to get from this number to this number, you had to multiply by actually the square root of negative radical, you had to multiply by negative square root 2. And so then they want the 15th term, so I listed some arrows. This tells me how many times I had to multiply by negative rad 2, and that was 14. And then I just multiplied them together and found the answer. Number 10, looking for angle C. I'm going to use law of cosines. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos C. Be very careful. Most people want to just, add these two and subtract this. This is tagged on to that cos C. Right? So don't add all of this together, okay? This needs to stay with cos C. Subtract these two items over to this side, simplify it, divide, and then use inverse cos to find out how much angle C is. Period is 2 pi over b. There's my b right there, so it's 2 pi over 3. What's the range? This is a parabola that has been shifted up 7 units. So its range is going to be from 7 all the way up to infinity. Miss Bell's math class consists of 4 sophomores, 10 juniors, and 5 seniors. How many different ways can she create a 4-member committee of just juniors? That's really annoying. Seniors has nothing to do with it, neither do sophomores, so it's just 10C4 because order doesn't matter. You're just making groups. Which relation is not a function? This one fails the vertical line test, so it's not a function. The rest of them all pass. Plug this into your calculator, it's easy peasy. This expression, actually there were 2 answers. This is really quite rare. They messed up because they didn't say in simplest form and they didn't say rationalize the denominator. So technically you could have done one of these 2 things and been totally correct. Typically when you have a radical in the denominator, you have to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate, okay? And that'll give you this, reduced down. But, you know, turned out this was also equivalent. Okay? You never really want to do this. You never really want to have radicals in the bottom. 17, I'm sure you could have done 17 with logs if you really wanted to, but all I really did was, you know, they want Akeem to have triple the investment, so 75,000's over here, and then honestly, just take these numbers and plug them in for t. It's so easy using the calculator. Why waste the mental energy reorganizing things and whatnot? This is a series question. Just plug in from 3 to 5 the integers into this equation, and then add them together, you get negative 38. Which one shows the cos inverse? Well, it's this one right here. This one right here is the cos inverse. This is one of those things that you really should memorize, but you could use your calculator if you wanted to try and just find out which one of them matched the picture in the calculator the best. Oh, sorry about that. This guy right here, well, first we're going to make it we're going to take this, we're going to convert it into exponential form, and then we're going to use the laws of logarithms. When you have two bases being multiplied in logarithmic form, that's addition. The exponential powers of the bases come out in front. And division in logarithmic language is subtraction with this down in front. You know, there you go. You could even see negative 1/3 there, right there. So that's it. The solution set, honestly, you could try and square things up and factor and solve and do all that good stuff, but why bother? This is just easy, plug and chug your way through it, find the one that works, and that's it. Brian correctly used the completing the square method. First step of completing the square is to get x's on one side by themselves, or to move c over. The second step is to add b over 2 squared to both sides. Adding that to both sides creates a perfect square over here, and thus you can just factor really easily. So the answer is just 7 over 2 squared, and that's 49 over 4. In order to solve this problem right here, you have to know the basic Pythagorean identity, and that's sine squared plus cos squared equals 1. Then the top is just 1. The bottom is just a reorganization of this. It's just sine squared subtracted over to this side. So that's cos squared. And this is the reciprocal of, the reciprocal of this is secant squared. The mean is the average. The key to this one is that this is actually the frequency. So there are 5 14s and 3 15s and 5 17s and 2 18s, 10 19s and 120. So you need to find the sum of all of that divided by the amount, the total number of students, and that's this right here. And that's what that turns out to be. What's the radian measure? Oh, well, here we go. Here's a clock. There are 360 degrees to a circle or to a clock. That means that 360 divided by 12 little segments is 30 degrees for each segment. So this is 30, hold on a second, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 degrees. And 150 converted into radian form, that's, you know, you just multiply by pi over 180, is 5 pi over 6. What's the fourth term? Well, I always write them out like this. It's easiest for me. That's just how I do it. So it starts out 9C0 would be the first term, 9C1, 9C2, 9C3, right? 9C3, okay, so this is the fourth. 9C3, a to the sixth, negative 4b to the third, right? And if you forget about this formula, it's also listed on your on your reference table, right? For expanding things out, there it is, okay? There's our binomial expansion, how to do it out, and so you could take this and just apply it in there and figure them out. And it turns out when you plug it in, right, 9C3, a to the sixth, well, it turns out to be this, and these two multiply together to give you a negative 5376, and that's the coefficient. Samantha constructs this scatter plot. Which one would be most appropriate? Logarithmic. Linear is a straight line. Exponential would go like this, and that's not. And this is going the opposite direction, and so this is logarithmic. 28. Now we're in short answers. Express the product. All you do is double distribute. I think why they chose this, it makes it difficult, is you get some fractions, but use your calculator, or you know, you should be good enough with fractions on your own to be able to combine things. And you could give it to it in fraction form, or you could give it to it in decimal form. 29. Okay, we got a study. 82 people are playing video games, and the researchers found that it was normally distributed, which means automatically you should think about this, the normal curve. With a standard deviation of 3, determine if there were 15 people in this study over the age of 20. Well, 20 is 3 above. That's 1 standard deviation above. That means on the normal curve, 20 is right here. And to be above 20 would means I have to add up this, and this. Add them up, you get 15.9%. There were 82 people in the study, and 15.9% of them is 13. So no, because the data are normally distributed in this study, there would be approximately 13 players only over the age of 20. Write a quad equation with the sum of the roots equal to 6 and the product equal to negative 27. Okay, well, the formula for sum is negative b over a, and product is c over a. 6 is the same thing as 6 over 1, which means a is 1 and b is negative 6, because negative 6 is 6. The product, well, we know a is 1, and c is negative 27, and so 0 equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and, you know, b is negative 6 and c is negative 27. Evaluate, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even know why they asked this question. This is so easy. All you do is plug x in for 3, 3 in for x, 2 in for y, and then use your calculator. You get 8. Find the inverse. The first step towards finding the inverse, that's what this is a switch x and y. Oh, I'm sorry. Take this, first convert it into y equals form. All right, so this is equivalent to a y. Y equals x squared minus 6. Then switch x and y because we're looking for the inverse. Then reorganize and try and get y by itself, right? This is going to be plus and minus the square root of this. And then you could have circled this, you could have circled this. I just happen to, you know, I'm always working on my math grammar, and so this is the inverse. Factor, well, what's the GCF? 3t to the 4th. Factor it out, you get 4t to the 4th minus 25. This is the difference of two perfect squares. Boom. 2t plus 5, 2t minus 5. And there's your answer. Okay, so we're going to need to simplify and only use positive exponents. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write this out a little bit bigger. Okay? And then I'm going to distribute this negative 2 inside. That gives me this. Right? Then, look, positive exponents just means whenever you have a negative in the exponential spot, it really means the reciprocal, which means 2 to the negative 2 in the denominator is really 2 squared in the numerator. Okay? Same thing over here. These two switch positions. Subtract. Okay? Okay, or just cancel away if you want. These x to the 4ths cancel with, you know, these x to the 4ths and only leave 2 on top. These y to the 5ths cancel with some y to the 5ths here, leaving only y to the 9th left over. This is compositions using functions. This notation can be rewritten like this. That's the trick. Remember, start right to left. Find out how much f at negative 3 is. It's 3. Stub it in. Solve. Boom. There's your answer. This, find the exact value of sine 75 degrees, is in your reference table. That's what these do. These help you find the exact value of sine, cosine, tangent. So I used this one right here. I broke 75 up into 45 and 30 because I know those. And then I used my calculator, right? This is going to be 0.7071. That's rad 2 over 2. And this is 0.866. Same thing over here. And then you just multiply and combine. Boom. You're done. All right, how are we going to solve this inequality? First, we're going to get the absolute value by itself. We're going to divide by negative 3. Remember to flip the sign. Absolute value breaks up into two separate problems. What happens when this is positive? What happens when this is negative? And then you solve both of them. Remember, when you divide by a negative, flip the sign. Without the equal sign on the bottom, you get an open hole, and to be less than 1 means to go this way and greater than 11 this way. What's the probability that a professional baseball player will get a hit? The probability that a professional baseball player gets a hit is a third. Calculate the exact probability that he's going to get at least 3 out of 5 hits. 3 out of 5. He's going to get at least 3 hits out of 5 attempts. All right, okay, so here we go. So this is a probability question. You should absolutely have this formula memorized. It comes up. It's definitely going to be a part 2, 3, or 4 question. Okay. Then we're going to fill it out. He's got 5 attempts. That's our n. Our probability of success getting a hit is a third, and our probability of failure is going to be 2/3. The probability that he gets at least 3 out of 5, that's he gets 3, he gets 4, and he gets 5 hits all added together. Use your calculator. Boom. 51 out of 243. Question 39. Solve them algebraically. Okay, so I'm going to use substitution. I'm going to reorganize this easy equation up over here so I got y by itself, and then I'm going to take this quantity right here and I'm going to sub it in for y because y equals 5 plus x. So sub it in. Now I have an equation with just x's. Set it equal to 0. If you're real good at factoring, I'm sure you could factor that. I like using a quadratic equation. Boom, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? We're going to simplify this inside. That's 400. We're going to figure it out how much x is. So that's going to be x is equal to 0.5 and negative 4.5. That's just this formula reduced. And then after you figure out x, take these two values and plug them separately into whichever equation you want. I think this one's easier to deal with, right? Because we want the y values that match with these x's. It's so important that you get the y values to match. You cannot just write them all down. They're going to come as a pair of coordinates. Okay, so there you go. It's going to be plugging 0.5 in, we get 5.5. Plugging 0.5, plugging negative 4.5 in, we get 0.5. And there's our answer, right there. And that's the June 2011 Algebra 2 Trig Regents.